Yeah, potentially. Again, it comes down to resources and what your needs are going to be. Because you can have, as we've talked about with JFK, too many people in a room, and many times you might have.
Yeah, that's another thing, because I think you started to say this, and we definitely talked about this when you were in here for 448. But like, who's in the room in Utah? Like, Charlie Kirk's body comes in, it's delivered. Whoever delivered it and doesn't need to be there leaves. Who's all there?
So you're going to have, obviously, the prosector, the forensic pathologist will be there. The autopsy technician or the path assistant is going to be at their side. And you will have, depending upon the office, you will have a morgue photographer that'll physically be there. Then the police will be there in the case of a homicide, or they should be. We always encourage police to attend autopsies. You'd be surprised how many choose not to. And that is the detective. But most of the time, the investigating department is going to send their own crime scene technician that will be assigned to do nothing but take photographs. And this is not going to be the same person that's at the scene, working the scene. That's a different kettle of fish.
But when you say that jurisdiction, like Utah County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever they have available. Or if they've spun up the state police at this point in time, you might have a state police. And you might even have, if this has been sent out to the state PD, you might, because this is a state medical examiner. This is not a county. It's not a county entity. So they're plugged into the state police. They might call their own call, whoever's up. You remember that old show, Homicide: Life on the Street, and they had the board where the next investigator would loop up. That's the way it actually works. You're up next, and so you're on call. I was going to say, you're carrying the pager. Boy, wow, Lord.
People still carry
I
pagers.
remember back in the day. So that person would be on deck next, and they're gonna catch this case. They would want to physically come to the autopsy or have one of their colleagues. Utah's a big place. They might have somebody that is in the Orem area that's not going to be the lead, but they're going to be the representative for the state police as an investigator at that autopsy, and they might even send their own crime scene people there too.
So you're looking, 8 or 10 people?
Yeah, potentially. Again, it comes down to resources and what your needs are going to be, because you can have, as we've talked about with JFK, too many people in a room, and many times you might have 8 to 10 people in the room, but are they the right people to have in the room? You just don't want anybody in the room because you don't know. I can't imagine why they would have somebody there that was just there for their amusement, but human nature, you want to make sure that everybody that is there, in fact, does have a purpose.
Well, let's say he arrives at 8:30. They roll him in, they intake him, they assemble the team.
Yeah.
Let's say the team's all there because he died 7 hours ago, 8 hours ago. We know we were going to do this tonight. Or at least we had a couple hours of lead time. Go ahead and get in here. He's on the way.
Yeah.
What time do they start? I mean, within a minute, within 5 minutes, within 20 minutes?
As soon as all those initial photographs are done, the doctor will walk around traditionally with a clipboard in their hand, and you've seen autopsy diagrams where you've got like the, and they'll start doing their renderings, right?
There's abrasion left knee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they'll have a ruler. They're walking around with an ABFO ruler. If you've ever seen one, 90-degree ruler, it's got a grayscale on it. And they're placing this there. They're doing the measurements, and they'll look at the photographer and say, take this shot right here. And they're still taking notes and doing everything that they have to do as that's visually being captured.
Okay.
Because once they move on from that, they're going to the next thing. And it could be anything. You could have...
But the autopsy doesn't start until that process is done?
Yeah.
And how long does that take?
The autopsy, so we call it's actually referred to as the external and then the internal exam. So the external exam can actually be a bit more tedious than the internal exam.
Why is that?
Because there's so much of the body surface you have to examine, and you're also examining clothing.
And do they roll him over and look at his back?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to look stem to stern, soles of the feet, the back,
Like inside the folds of
everything,
everything?
every inch
Okay.
of the body. You're looking behind the ears. You're doing an oral examination, which is particularly difficult if you have somebody with rigor that's setting. You have to break the rigor in the jaw. They're also checking for the
How long does all that start to take place? The
rigor
Yeah.
setting in. Depends on temperature most of the time. So the warmer something is, the quicker rigor sets in. So you first appreciate it in the smaller muscle groups. It's happening everywhere. Like you won't see it in the thighs, right, immediately,
maybe the fingers.
but you'll see it. It happens in the eyelids, happens in the jaw in particular. Sets in really because these muscle groups are smaller. So you assess a level of rigidity, and they're going to make note of postmortem deposition of, like, if you're laying in a supine position like this, they'll roll the body over and they'll say if the postmortem lividity is blanchable or not blanchable. If you take your thumb and press it into your skin, those of us that are living, it'll blanch because you're stemming blood flow into that area. The dead can't stem. So
He's
if
pointing
it's
right here, by the way, just do.
oh sorry
right there.
like that. So
Pointing right here.
yeah, and it's just an example. If somebody has lividity on their back, for instance, and it's literally lividity, it's purple. If you depress it, right, and it doesn't blanch, there's a time frame that takes to set in. Okay,
But just the rigor setting in on the initial phases, is it an hour, 2 hours, 10 hours?
You'll first be able to see rigor, rigor, people say it different ways.
I'm probably mispronouncing it.
No.
Not a medical
No, there
professional.
is no correct way. There is no correct way. Whatever blows your hair back. Depending upon the temperature, the hotter the body is, the hotter the environmental temperature, it speeds it up. So if you're going to see the first signs of it probably within about 2 to 4 hours.
Okay.
That's one of the elements that we use to determine time of death.
So 8 hours into this, he's probably got it.
He's got rigidity already setting in.
Okay.
You're going to already be able to appreciate it in the fingers, maybe the elbows. You're going to check flexation in the knees, the hips, the feet, all that sort of. Do they flex or do they not?
So he does the external examination. That takes 10 minutes, an hour?
Depends on the person.
Okay.
In a case like this, it could take up to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. That's realistic. Yeah.
So what are we at? Maybe like 10 o'clock now? He
Uh,
gets in there at 8:30. They do a half hour, do pictures and all that, get everyone ready.
That sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Well, you're going to go back, since we're talking about a defect in the neck. Your man's going to walk over to the light board with the films up there. Will probably bring the assistant over with them and say, all right, let's take a look at this and see what the orientation is. And they're going to look for any kind of radio opaque fragments that are there, because they're trying to see if there is what we refer to many times as a lead storm. So if you've got a round that has passed through, you don't just look for the core of the round itself. You're going to look for any kind of little bits of fragments, and you'll see them, they'll be all over the place. Sometimes you can appreciate kind of the cavitated area that it creates. There'll be some disruption. It all depends on how good the x-ray is, but you're looking for those little fragments, and you're going to look at them, like I said, in the lateral sense and in, straight on like this, AP and lateral. So you're looking through here, you're trying to determine, and they're coordinating about how they're going to approach this. One thing I forgot, we had mentioned it previously, you're going to put in the trajectory rods before you ever break out the scalpel. And those photographs are going to be done. So you're going to take, they look like dowel rods.
Yeah, Dave, can we pull that up again for people? We found that last time, just so they can see it, but go ahead, Joseph.
They look like dowel rods.
Is that a quick process, a few minutes?
It's a delicate process.
Okay.
You have to be very careful, because if you're...
What are they called, Joseph? I'm sorry.
Trajectory rods.
Trajectory rods.
Yeah. And they're static. It's not like you're using lasers or something like that. This is not that lasers aren't static, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's something that
It's physical.
the doctor is going to place this in there, and generally they're going to be pretty thin. We used to use these kind of I've seen people use metal. Yeah, that's a dowel rod there.
Right there.
Those are.
Which one's the best one to show?
Let's see. Oh,
With the cop holding it like that?
no, I like the one you got up there with the body. I'd love to see what that one looks like.
Okay.
Can you expand that at all, or no? You are a human. There you go. Okay.
You may not
Yeah.
show
So,
that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
but
if
I just
we gotta
for
mark
purposes
that.
of orientation, you see what I'm talking about though, and you can see the pitch on it and that sort of thing. You have to be very delicate when you place this in there because you can disrupt structures, and also if there's a projectile in there.
You can move it.
Yeah, I've seen physicians that'll get, and they'll,
Yeah.
and you can. One of the worst things you ever want to hear is that metal tink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
if since we're not showing it, just so I can describe it to people, I want you to imagine, and you can Google this as well. But if Charlie's wound is here, it is a long, very thin rod that would be put in at approximately what they would determine the trajectory to be based on where the wound is. So maybe like that, and it just sticks out. And Joseph's saying they would do it obviously slowly and carefully to try not to fuck with the area.
You do not want. You as the examiner do not want to dictate the position of the rod. You want the defect to dictate the position of the rod. That's kind of, it's kind of elemental, but it's essential here because any deviation off of this, it's going to skew data. And you remember how we talked about the chair just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Well, this is an essential component here to see if what we're seeing in the morgue, if it is within acceptable parameters to marry up to what we're seeing that happened or allegedly happened, from what they're saying from the roof down to here. Is it plausible? That's one of the questions that we would have.
But on a time basis, is this a few minutes? Is it pretty time consuming?
Yeah, I hate to keep waffling
I know.
on you. It all depends on the skill of the prosector, how fastidious they are, and some of them, I've been around a lot of them that just like to blow and go. They'll go, and then other people, they're like a deer in the headlights. Sometimes you're wondering if they're even actually thinking. Sometimes they'll just stand there, trying to. You can see the wheels kind of turning, and they're thinking, where do I go now? And it all depends on the skill level of the individual. I would imagine that whoever did this autopsy,
Guajardo,
is probably going to be at the top end of the skill level in the staff. You're not going to want to throw a newbie out there.
Right.
And you don't know this guy, Quillharder? You know a lot of these people, so that's what I'm asking.
Nope.
Okay.
he's now the medical examiner of Dutchess County, New York. He's been.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're forensic pathologists are kind of transient, and that happens with some frequency. They'll move around because there's so few of them. If they get a better gig somewhere, they'll go to it. Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.